Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another brand new episode right here. Her business, her voice, her conversation. Well, today's guest, I'm going to tamp myself down and stop fangirling because I deeply respect the work that today's guest has put into the world, what she brings to us as women, as entrepreneurs. I know her to be a reliable source of information, inspiration. I'm bringing to you the one and only Bri Seeley. Woo! I'm going to give you a big, oh my goodness.
I'm going to listen to that every morning when I wake up now. That was amazing. Thank you.
It's from the heart, and I have waited for this day for so long. So thank you for saying yes. I'm going to read something that you have posted over on your website concerning entrepreneurship. And you state, entrepreneurship isn't supposed to be so damn difficult. Hey, I have to say, because so many of us are entrepreneurs. I quit a job after 26 years and jumped into podcasting. Yeah, had the audacity and the nerve to reinvent myself and become a podcaster, a professional podcaster, which means I became an entrepreneur. Coming from that employee mindset to entrepreneur, it is an ongoing task. But you state, and you don't classify it, entrepreneurship isn't supposed to be so damn difficult. You did not become an entrepreneur to struggle. True. You became an entrepreneur to create full freedom. Yes. In your business and thrive. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And when I look at your body of work, I know that it is possible. When I visit the resources that you have for people over on your website, all of these things are possible if we get connected with the right person. So Bree, take us on your journey. How did this thing of entrepreneurship begin for you, and how did it become so dear to you?
It's interesting because I was raised by an entrepreneur, and I watched what my mom did and how she struggled and all of that stuff growing up. And I said to myself, I don't ever want to do that. I never want to be an entrepreneur. So got my bachelor's, got my master's, got a job, in the real world outside of my master's, and quickly realized it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. So I had 2 degrees in fashion design. My job was doing admin stuff, right? So I was like, well, I'm just going to, on the side, to keep my passion going, just going to do these little things. And so I would do like one-off projects, little things here and there, prom dresses, homecoming dresses, et cetera, et cetera. And little by little, it just started growing. I did my first collection. I was doing art installations. Then I got into the largest trade show in America. And then I got on a runway, and I won the competition for the runway. And then I got featured in Zappos.com. And then it was like all these things, right? And so I really caught the entrepreneurship bug during that time. The thing that was interesting was I had my day job for the entire time I had my fashion business.
Wow.
So I was still struggling. I was doing what I loved, but I was still struggling. Mm-hmm. And I can go into a few reasons why in a little bit, but I basically overnight in 2015 was meditating and heard this very clear message: fashion isn't it, shut it down, walk away. So within 72 hours, I closed my business and ventured into the great unknown. Luckily, 5 days prior to that, I just hired a business coach. So I had a business coach, and all of a sudden, no business. And the question started becoming like, okay, well, I know that I don't want to go work for anyone else again. Again, I caught the entrepreneurship bug. What are my options? What am I going to do next? How is this going to look? And so I worked with that coach to help me realize that my day job, I had been a counselor for 8 years, and I'd run my own business for 8 years. And so I started coaching other people to start recreating their realities in really big ways. Started doing manifestation challenges. I wrote a book. I did all this stuff. And then I realized that pretty much only entrepreneurs were coming to work with me because they saw my passion for entrepreneurship. And I had so many tips and tricks about how to make it easier, ways to do strategy that made things simpler and more profitable and all these things. And so in 2019, I niched down into only serving entrepreneurs. And it just have been going since then. Lots of big things coming, lots of big things on the horizon, and basically have realized over and over and over, and this really also ties back into my heritage, like I'm here on the planet to help women really truly realize their capacity for creating wealth in their lives. And I do it through entrepreneurship because it is the easiest and quickest way to generate wealth in your life. If you're waiting for someone else, like you said, to give you a paycheck or to give you a raise or to give you a promotion, right? Like your power isn't in your hands. And so when the power is in your hands, when you can realize your creative power, you can move mountains, you can create massive wealth. And so that is what I'm on this planet to help women do.
And you do it so well. I heard you say increase their capacity. So many of us don't understand how once we tap into what we're supposed to do, what we want to do, we have the capacity to carry that and deliver that to the world. That is amazing. Had you not meditated and really taken that leap of faith, which is what it was, and shut it down in 72 hours. Wow.
People thought I was crazy. Still to this day, my parents, my mom was like, first off, she found out on Facebook that I was doing it. And then she was like, this is your passion. You've been sewing since you were 5 years old. Like you should just keep going. But the truth is behind the scenes, like fashion looks really glamorous and fancy and fun. You know, I was dressing Toni Braxton. My stuff was on The Bachelor. Like it looked really good on the outside. I was miserable. I was having panic attacks. I was going into more and more debt. I wasn't happy. I wasn't taking the actions I needed to take in my business, which is something I now get to help women with. And honestly, when I heard that message, it was a relief, which is why I moved so quickly and was like, oh, thank goodness. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. I can walk away from this. There's something else available to me. Yes, let me choose that.
Man, it sounds like your brain, heart, soul, spirit was just waiting for you to recognize that this is not it. And there is much more for you to do in this world, in this life. You say that you are a great educator, and the entrepreneurs come to you because they see your track record, this thing of consistency that you bring, consistency and success that you bring to the table. Would you elaborate what it looks like for a woman to come and actually work with Bri Seeley? Because I'm sure that after this conversation, people are going to say, yeah, let me find out where she's at.
So I work with the same woman, but on 3 different levels of her journey. And so some people come to me at the first level, some people come at the second, some people come at the third. The first level is really that entrepreneur. So either you want to start a business, you've been thinking about it, or maybe you've started it and it's a side hustle and you just don't know how to make it your full-time income. And so I work with those women over a course of 6 months to truly get their business out in the world and start profiting off their business. The next level is the solopreneur. So the person who is the be all end all, the everything to their business. They don't have a team. They don't have operations. Usually they're trading time for money. And if they want to make more money, then they have to work more and you can't create more time. So you hit a ceiling very quickly. And so I help them figure out what is that next step in terms of freeing up more time and making more money in their business. And then the third level is the entrepreneur. So that's someone who's probably at like multiple 6 figures and really looking to put in a full team, operations, systems, all the things they need so that their business can scale up past 7 figures without burning them out in the process.
And it sounds like it is a process. It is a process.
I've been in this business for 7 years, and I will tell you, there are things I'm still getting together. You know, there's so many things. And as much as I've educated myself and hired coaches and like made things easier, things still shift. You know, my messaging is going through a shift right now because as I shared with you, I'm preparing for a TED Talk. And so that is also going to lead me into, I'm working on a book proposal right now as well. And so, you know, I always wonder if there's a point when it's ever done, but so far my experience over 15 years is that like, it's never done. There's never a moment where you just sit and you're like, yep, my business is coastable. I can just sit back and just let it ride for the rest of my life. So it is a process, and it's really important, like you said earlier, to be consistent, to have that consistency, and then to also have just a level of tenacity. And sometimes I think that tenacity, it gets really hard to maintain that on your own, which is also why a lot of people hire me, is that I also get to step in and be kind of their like cheerleader / butt kicker, so that when they're tired, they have someone who can kind of help pick up the momentum with them. And I also do a lot of stuff in community. And I know you wanted to talk about this at some point, but pretty much all of my programs, except for the entrepreneur one, are group programs. And part of the reason behind that is because there's something magical that happens to women when they start to find out that they're not alone.
Yes.
And that they're not the only ones struggling through what they're struggling through. And women are natural collaborators. And so if someone has a resource that the other one needs, they immediately offer it up, and they're willing to help each other. If someone needs to practice sales calls, 5 women pop up and say, hey, I'm happy to be a sales dummy for you. Like, let me step in and do a practice call with you. Or like, community is such an important element of entrepreneurship as well. The women that I see trying to do it alone, they end up burning out, because I just don't think it's a sustainable way. So, that continuity, that consistency, the tenacity, and then the community, I really think are some of the most important keys to success in entrepreneurship.
I really agree about that community. If corporate America says we no longer operate in a silo, all the more should we as women definitely come together as a community. And I also heard you say something important, and a couple of times, real from the very beginning, you invest. You have a coach. Will you speak to that once again? Because there's always the person that believes I can Google. Google is my friend. Oh yeah, I'm going to use the heck out of YouTube. Speak to that, Bree. There's nothing wrong with utilizing social media, but.
Yeah, I actually had a client who did a testimonial for me, and she said in the testimonial, if I hadn't hired you, I would still be Googling how to run a business rather than actually running a business. So there's a few things that happen. One, entrepreneurship requires bold actions. You have to do things that scare the out of you every single day. You have to. And so our brains default to talking us out of those actions. So if you don't have that accountability, someone checking in with you, I just did this to a client last week. I said, I'm texting you on Sunday. I'm going to find out if you did this thing. And I texted her on Sunday. She did not respond, but you can be sure on Monday, she messaged me and she said, I hadn't done it yet when you texted, but because you texted, I sat down and did it first thing Monday morning. Investing in yourself forces you to show up in a way that most people simply can't do on their own. There was a statistic I read. Having accountability in your business makes you 95% more likely. So if you have something, a resource available to you that's going to give you a 95% chance of a success rate, why wouldn't you take it, right? And to be truthful, there's a lot of nonsense on Google. I Google stuff all the time, and you can very kind of quickly see people rank for things on Google, not because it's good advice, but because they've figured out the algorithm of the SEO about how to get up in the top position, right? So, and the other thing I'll say too, the thing about coaching is that knowledge without application is worthless. So you can learn something all you want, but if you don't know how to apply that thing to your specific business, which by the way, your specific business is one of a kind, and no one else has your business because they don't have you. So if you don't have someone on your side helping you understand how to apply that knowledge and wisdom, you have nothing. So I always, when I'm trying to learn something new, I always go out and find, who can I help me with this? Who can I bring on? Who can I hire? Who can I get on my side to help me shortcut this? So I'm not spending 2 years Googling something that they could help me solve in under a month.
Oh my goodness. Plus, you know what, Bree? I hear what you're saying, Googling, because everybody is manipulating. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people are manipulating with SEO. They're claiming to know what they don't know. And I heard somebody on a podcast the other day say anybody can be anybody on social media, which is scary because people are paying thousands of dollars and they're not getting what they've invested in. And it's putting a bad taste in people's mouths. But
I hear that a lot from people. They apply to work with me and we get on the call and they're like, I wish I would have found you before I invested in XYZ. And it breaks my heart. Like I happen to have a very high level of integrity. It's why on my website, I have hundreds of reviews, and not just like written reviews, because anyone can write a review and slap an unsplash photo on it, right?
yeah.
Like I have actual video reviews from people because I'm like, I want other people to feel and hear the experiences that they have when they invest in themselves. It's just really important to me. I think that level of integrity in business, honestly, in the online space, it's not always there. And so we have to figure out ways to set ourselves apart and show that integrity in a really good way. So yeah, even if people listening don't want to hire me, totally cool. If you want to hire someone else, absolutely go do it and do your research beforehand. They might be interviewing you as a client, but you also need to be interviewing them. Ask them the hard questions. I'm actually working on a political campaign right now, and someone reached out and said, oh, we have this service, we want to help you, blah, 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 blah. And I said, cool, you talk in your deck about moving the needle forward. Send me your case studies. I want to see numbers. I want to see names. I want to know exactly how you have moved the needle forward for these people. Otherwise, we are not interested.
That's not being mean. That's being smart. That's doing your homework.
Yeah.
Wow. See, these kind of conversations people don't normally have, or maybe that's the elephant in the room. But what you're speaking of what you're teaching others, these are the conversations we have to have from day one, because being an entrepreneur, we're lifelong students, excuse me. And if we are going to expect people to invest in us, to put money in what we are going to impart in them, we have to know how to show up in integrity, consistency. Where are you at as far as LinkedIn goes? Are you on page 1, page 2, page 10 on social media? All those things matter. They really do.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I have a question, and it doesn't have anything to do with coaching or anything, but I'm just doggone curious. Are you still sewing, designing? And I say, start the very first service that you offer to women, the ones with the side hustle to be profitable, is designing. Is that your side hustle still, or where does that fall in line with you? Because you're very busy.
Yes, I do it periodically for myself now. Over COVID, I made myself this really beautiful Burberry wool jacket and I reused this old, people used to give me stuff all the time. People used to give me like minks and like stoles and all this stuff, like, oh, I found this in my mom's attic, like I don't know what to do with it here. And so I like repurposed this mink stole into this beautiful like collar for this like royal purple wool coat. I mean, it was beautiful, but I haven't sewn in a while. I'll periodically do a few projects here and there. If the right person asks me, I'll be like, okay, fine. But I always make them, I'm like, if you want a project done, you have to come over to my house and you have to sit with me while I do it. Otherwise, it will just get thrown on top of the machine and never touched. So periodically I do. Several years ago, I made one of my best friend's wedding dresses, like little things that are like really important or super sentimental or meaningful. But for the most part, no, I I wish I had more time to sew, but the truth is, I mean, especially right now, we even had to start getting HelloFresh because I told my boyfriend, I was like, I can't grocery shop and cook for the next few months. So like we have to figure something else out.
Yes, yes. Well, creativity, is that a part of your remessaging, repurposing, how you're changing things around that's incorporated into your education, coaching, and community?
Absolutely. There's so many women that are like, well, I'm not creative because like I can't paint or I can't draw or I can't, like things like that. And I'm like, entrepreneurship is the ultimate creativity, right? You literally walk in one day with nothing. And it's your job to create that nothingness into something, right? And we do it over and over and over again, whether it's your business, whether it's an opt-in or a training or a webinar or a talk or a book or like all of those things are exercises in creativity. And so I really encourage my women, and I practice what I preach, to have creative time built into their business. And so also during COVID, I actually picked back up pottery. And I just ran into the pottery studio yesterday to pick up a bunch of things that I had made, because that for me, like that tangible creativity helps me with the mental creativity as well. And so I try to build in a few hours a week for some sort of creativity, whether it's doing a puzzle, going to the pottery studio, drawing in my coloring book, or, like something that just like lets me be in that just beautiful space of creation.
Mhm. It's thinking about what I'm not thinking about kind of a mindset. I'm looking at the time, and I could just sit down and have a cup of tea or Pepsi with you and just ask about a million questions, because you are incredible. But I'm just wondering, with what we see going on in the world of work, and for the women who are reinventing themselves, as I did, for the women who are just going through the great resignation, which is still going on, even though it's not on the headlines, what word do you have for those women who want to be bold like Bri Seeley and just shut everything down? What do you say to them in preparation so that they can walk away, shut it down, and have the audacity to say, this is my next? What do you say to those women?
I remind them that while every woman on this planet alive today has been taught that our safety and security lies outside of us. Our foundation for safety and security is a job or a husband or, like all these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
The best source of security and safety is you. Your boss could wake up tomorrow and fire you without severance. Your significant other could wake up tomorrow and leave you without anything, right? So you have the opportunity to become the ultimate foundation for wealth in your life. You have the opportunity to become the foundation for the ultimate security in your life. And each of us, I firmly believe, needs to claim that for ourselves, both individually and collectively, right? Because when we can all come together and do that and say, listen, we're not going to play the games that we've been brought up to play. We're not going to put ourselves in those situations before where the rug could get pulled out from under us at any moment because we don't claim our ability to be the creators of wealth and security in our life. So I remind people, look at all the times when the rug has been pulled out from under you. Look at the times when you have stepped up and become the creator, like building equity in different ways and areas, and really truly going to the table and setting yourself up to have the conversations and taking the actions you need to have to make your life so stable and solid because of yourself, not because of anyone else, not because of a job that doesn't value you, but because of yourself. You did that. You created that. And I believe that every single one of us women has the opportunity to do that. And I also believe that when the majority of us can do that, the world's going to change.
I tell you, I knew that this was going to be good. I knew it. I knew it. It is my hope that women hear what you have to say, because we have to claim it. We have to claim ourselves. We really do. You claimed yourself when you listened in meditation. You listened to your next. You were listening for yourself, and you kept that channel open. We get so busy. We're at the job, we're the wife, we're the sister, we're the everything, until we shut ourselves off from us. And I love how you incorporate us individually into being an entrepreneur. Oh my goodness.
I want to add one quick thing. When I took that step to shut that business down, I didn't do it without fear. So I also just want to mention, just because you're having some sort of fear around taking this step doesn't mean it's the wrong step. Is it scary? Yeah, it was absolutely scary to shut down my business of 8 years and have no idea what income. I had that coach, it was a $25,000 coach. All of a sudden, I didn't have an income, right? So I had fear, and yet I did it anyways, because in my gut, I knew that it was the right thing to do. So I'm not saying you should quit your job tomorrow. I'm not saying you should cut off all forms of income, like any of that stuff. But if you know that you have that intuitive hit that there's something more, start taking those steps today, because there's going to be a day where you might have a universal 2x4, as I call them, hit you over the head, and have a dire circumstance. You might as well start building today, and you're going to be scared, and you're going to do it anyways, because you're worth it.
You are worth it. Bri Seeley, I thank you so much for your time. You give us education, you give us coaching, and you give us community. Tell people how they can reach you. What's the best, what's the best email address? What's the best internet address to find you?
My website is my name, brieseeley.com. That's with 3 E's, Briseeley. So that's my website. My email is my name, Brie at brieseeley.com. My Instagram handle is Bri Seeley. My TikTok handle is Bri Seeley. You find me on Facebook at Bri Seeley, and LinkedIn is Bri Seeley. You can also just Google entrepreneur coach, and the second search result on Google. So either way.
Now, see, that's noteworthy. This is something that Bri Seeley can teach you. Do you see how she is consistently, everything's Bri Seeley? So many people don't know that. And she doesn't have a Gmail account. It's not briseeley@gmail.com.
I have that one too, but that's my personal one. That's where all the junk goes.
I gotcha. Oh my goodness. See, just these little nuggets just keep coming up, but I'm going to shut it down because I respect your time. And gosh, all I can say is, if you are for real, if you really, really, really want to be profitable in your side hustle, if you really, really, really want to discover your next, if you are not playing games and I'm down to be an entrepreneur, you better go ahead and reach out to Brie. She has a lot of great things coming up. She is a lady a name that you are not going to quickly forget. So what else can I say? It's hard for me to shut down these great conversations, but I'm just going to back out slowly. Everybody who listens, they know, there she goes. But thank you again. And
thank you.
Thank you, listeners. This was a great episode. You'll want to listen again and again and again. You'll definitely want to share this out, because we all know somebody who's been thinking about, I'm fitting to be an entrepreneur, and don't waste a lot of time, energy, and money just trying to find your way. We have a great resource here in Bri Seeley. So, and I stand by her. I tell you, not many people I go ahead and put my name with, but I do throw my hat in the ring with this lady. So if she says she's going to do something, she's going to do it. She is who she says that she is. So I'll be back next week, another episode right here. Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Bye-bye now.